In this video, we'll be exploring the new 2023 Daiwa Tatula 100 and how well it casts, because in my unboxing video, I made a pretty bold proclamation that this is going to be a very beginner-friendly baitcasting reel for anyone to pick up and learn. And the reason why I said that is because this reel here sports what Daiwa call is the zero tension adjuster knob. And any reel that sports this feature within the Daiwa baitcasting lineup basically says that this reel is factory tuned for the tension knob and you actually don't need to touch it at all. All an angler have to do is set the breaking dial on a side based on your lure and your thumb skill set, and you're good to go. Doesn't that sound easy? Well, we're gonna explore the reel today, and I'll share with you exactly how the reel behaves with different breaking settings. Let me share with you the setup for today. I spooled up the reel with 12-pound monofilament, Sufix Siege, and then I have placed this reel on a medium power rod. The lure rating for this rod is 1/4 ounce to 5/8 ounce, and for the lure, I'm using the Z-Man Chatterspike on the ZWG hook 1/8 ounce. This is a size 4/0 hook, and the total weight for this lure is 3/8 ounce, which is well in range for the rod that I'm selecting today. So let's get on water and see how well this reel behaves. Let's go. All right, so folks, we are at the cast testing pond, and we're gonna explore the brakes on this Tatula 100. And a couple of things I want to start off by telling y'all, we are not doing any overhead cast like that, okay? Because if a beginner were to take this reel and do a overhead cast and the timing is wrong, and if they actually land right here in front of you, just like that, they're gonna backlash, no matter what brake setting you have it, okay? And the reason why is because if the lure lands in front of you like this, no one have enough reaction time to stop the spool. You see, when you do side cast, and if you mess up, the worst case scenario is your lure goes off the direction you wanna cast to, but you have a lot of time to stop the spool from going. So definitely do side cast, side roll, arm cast, stuff like that only. With that said, we're gonna start casting right now, and I'm gonna first start by casting using max brakes, which is 20 on the dial, and I'm gonna cast hard as possible. Woo, that's pretty good. As you saw, the distance is not far, but at the beginning of the cast, it was not overspooling. You see, in order to be proficient in casting a baitcaster, you need to use your thumb in many, many instances. Obviously, you gotta hit the thumb bar to disengage the spool, then you need to hold the spool, right? And then you need to cast, and then you need to let go at the right time. But there is two more things you need to do. As I said in the beginning video, you need to stop the spool right before the lure hits the water. And that is something that every angler needs to do. And eventually, if you want to cast even further, obviously, you need to lower your brakes. But if you lower your brakes to too low, what happens is, during your initial cast, there might be some overspooling, and you have to use your thumb to feather the spool. Feathering the spool is a little bit higher level technique, but I think this reel is gonna be easy enough for any beginners to play with, because you get to focus on setting the brakes, exploring your reel, and then practice slowly, thumbing, okay? Thumbing at the end and also feathering. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep casting now by lowering the brakes and see when that overspooling happens, so that you know exactly where to start learning how to feather the spool. So right now I have put this on 14 brakes, and we're gonna cast again hard as possible. Now that went up a little bit further than earlier, but there is still no overspooling, which is still good. So let's lower the brakes even more. All right, so we're gonna do 50% right now, and that is brake dial number 10, and I'm not gonna cast too hard just yet. I'm gonna cast a few times, all right? So, first one. All right, so that actually went out a little further than the previous cast, but I cast it a lot softer. So, before I do the next cast, Daiwa and a lot of Japanese anglers, what they like to do is actually have, just like how this reel is set up, they have low tension, and they use low brakes, and they actually want to achieve further cast, right, with lighter power, and that will be less strain to the body. So let's try it by casting harder first, just to see if this thing overspools and see how much further I get. All right, so there was just a tiny little overspool at the beginning, maybe like a fraction of a second, but it did go a little bit further, so it's not too bad. And now I think this is where the money is gonna be at. I'm gonna put it at 8. I think a lot of my Daiwa reels, 8 has been a good spot for me, okay? And you do have to feather a little bit, but I'm gonna first cast like a medium power. All right, so that was pretty much like the same distance as my previous cast, but less power. But now we're gonna wing it. This is likely where I need to start feathering the spool. But I'm not gonna feather the spool so that you could hear it and maybe even see it. So let's see. Aha. Did you guys see that and hear that? I'm gonna do a quick replay. But it did bunch up just a little bit, but because the lure was heavy enough, it actually continued flying and fixed itself. So this is a very, very good spot for you to start learning how to feather your spool. When you saw this thing start bunching up, you have to start slowly put your thumb right on top of it. And given that I have 12-pound mono, it's thick enough. If I do backlash, it's easy to pick out. And yeah, right there, boom. I just feathered it and it stopped it from overspooling. That is what you need to do. But like I said, I'm pretty impressed with this reel so far. You know what? Let's lower the brakes even more. All right, I am at brake 6 and I'm gonna cast, not too hard, like maybe 75% power. Let's go. And I definitely need to, timing is wrong. I definitely need to feather that, but that was the furthest distance I have casted so far, and I use, not that heavy of a cast. If I were to full power cast this, I have a feeling that it's gonna backlash like crazy, but I would attempt it, but I will feather it. So let's give it a shot. All right, so it went a little further, not that much further because it did bunch up and I had to feather and slow down the spool, okay? But as you see, this is probably where most anglers will want this at. Like I think for most of my reels from Daiwa, I've always used at brake setting 6 and always use my thumb to feather, and I don't always cast that heavy. Just moderate casting, and I just enjoy the reel, and I'm loving this. One more time with brake 4. Let's do it. Let's keep lowering it. Ooh, wow. I had to feather that one all the way through. That was like 50% casting power, and I got the distance just like at brake 6. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. That was probably the furthest cast for the entire day right there, using brake setting 4, but feathering is the key. So what do you guys think? Doesn't look like a very easy bait casting reel to pick up and learn how to cast a baitcaster? As I've portrayed, I've utilized a method that allows me to explore a reel's braking behavior very, very quickly. With the tension knob already pre-tuned, all I had to do is take this reel, put it on a rod, put some line on, tie a lure on, and go out there, cast while exploring the brakes and my casting power. And I was able to identify that around brake 8 is when the spool will start to overspool just a little bit on my initial cast. Using my thumb in conjunction of casting, I'm able to feather the spool and achieve great casting distances. Using your thumb to feather the spool is the key of achieving long casts. So I think by using my method that I portrayed today, plus this reel, a beginner could easily pick up, learn how to cast a bait casting reel, and also work on their thumb mastery. After all, if they were to use this reel brake setting above 8, they don't really need to focus on feathering your spool. They can focus on the casting motion and also timing of when to let go the spool and also when to stop the spool before the lure touches the water. So definitely a great reel to have for a beginner. If you want to purchase this reel, I'll have left a affiliate link in the description below to discount tackle. If you want to purchase this, if you guys use the link, I thank you in advance because it really helps me create videos such as these for you guys. I will be releasing a casting tutorial for beginners featuring this reel as well as the method that I've portrayed today. I'll be elaborating on it, so if you guys are interested, stay tuned for that. I thank you all for watching The Fish Don't Wait. Buy the 2023 Daiwa Tatula 100 bait casting reel and enjoy your 2024 fishing season.